Hello, readers. Welcome to 20 Questions with Your Favorite Author, where we ask authors important questions like, why would you agree to be on this podcast? I'm Kelly Lynn Colby, Editorial Director at Cursed Dragon Ship Publishing. Our guest this week is A.R.R. Ashe, writer of grimdark and lifelong fantasy and sci-fi fan. A.R.R. Ashe has received a Silver Honorable Mention and 4 Honorable Mentions from the L. Ron Hubbard's Writers of the Future contest. In other trivia, his favorite dishes are burgers and sushis, but not together. If he's not your favorite now, he will be after. Welcome, Arash. How are you this evening?
Well, thank you, and I hope you are too.
Yes, I'm hanging in there, trying to make it all work. So you have 5 recognizable rewards or awards from the Writers of the Future contest. That is no minor feat. What compels you to keep sending stories to them?
It's free, and it's
True.
a pretty recognizable contest, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you do well in it, it shows some level of accomplishment, I guess, right? So it's not like like you need it for a career, but it's something that you keep testing yourself against it, and I don't think I'll actually ever win, but give it a try, see what happens.
Well, it can't hurt, right?
No, it doesn't hurt. As I said, there's nothing to lose.
Mm-hmm. And if nothing, you get practice.
Correct.
Right? Short stories are a whole nother beast than full novels.
Very different, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm wondering, how important do you think short stories are for writers to experiment with?
That's all. In general, I think it's a good. In general, it's a good idea to experiment with a lot of different types of writing, because some stuff might carry over, might give you a different perspective on other things that you do. Because when you say you're writing a short story and you have to, that has a certain way of doing things, it makes you think like, oh, so this is different than what I'm doing for a novel, and it makes you concentrate on that differentiation for a novel or for a different type of writing. So I think it's just, in general, it's not a bad thing to practice different styles of different types of writing.
No doubt. Sometimes you have like this awesome idea, but it's not a novel idea. Like it's too kooky, or it's too original, and you just want to play with it first. I mean, that's perfect for short stories.
Yeah, short stories are a great avenue to experiment, with all different types of voice and perspective and just whatever, right? So,
right,
yeah.
Right. So, what has been your favorite short story that you've written? What was it about?
See, my favorite. Okay, probably my favorite so far, and this is not one that won. This all did. It hasn't not been published yet. It did win a honorable mention with the, and it is readable on my website but any event, I've recently become interested in mysteries and magical mysteries in particular, like how the existence of magic will affect solving crimes or hiding crimes. So I wrote a version of a magical mystery, and incorporating some of the um, more technical aspects of my magical system into the short story. So I think so far, to me, that was the most fun, because I got to be really nerdy with the. I included actual mathematics of magic in this story, so equations and such. So that, I think, for me, that's been my favorite so far.
I love that. That seems like a lot of work to me.
But I suppose, but when you love it, right? So
true. That is true. I did like math, but I don't know, combining that with my writing, that is very interesting.
Because if I could just say, like, I've, because you hear, I'm not, I've read a lot in fantasy where people will reference mathematics, with magic, but I've never seen anybody actually include like the formula and everything like that. So I wanted to do that. So I actually have like a mathematics of magic that I've been working on for my stories that will become incorporated.
That's really fascinating. Yeah, they do a lot of hand waving, right? They're like, hand waving's magic as this math happens, right? And you were like, no, I'm going to show you the math. I like that.
Yeah, no, because I'm the kind of person who does not like nebulous magic systems. I like defined, things like that, that have rules that are consistent. So that lends itself to a mathematical description. So that's, like I said, it's not in any of my current novels yet,
Mhm.
but my intent is to get there. Just slowly expanding the universe.
I love it. I mean, lit RPG is so popular with all the charts. I don't see why this wouldn't find a huge popular audience too.
We can hope. As one person said to me though, he says, when I was reading Lord of the Rings, you know what I did not think? This needs more math. And I said that's fair, but I can't be the only one who thinks that's interesting. So
I'm talking about nebulous magic. That is Lord of the Rings, right?
that is
So yeah.
100%. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Math
Whatever
would
he
not have
needed,
worked in that story. Yeah.
whatever he needed to happen, Gandalf could do.
That's right. We're just gonna do it because I need it for the story. And your writing itself tends towards grim dark. What
Yes.
is it about that specific genre that pulls you in?
I think you can be a lot more explicit, right? Like the one piece of advice that you hear more than that I've heard more than
Mhm.
anything is show don't tell.
Right.
And with grimdark, you do show, right? Like you take that to the
Even if we
extreme.
don't want to see it.
Exactly. So I like the fact that you can push what's said and what's done. And I understand, like, obviously there's gonna be a lot of stuff not for everybody, right? Like, it's cringeworthy. Even writing it sometimes
Mhm.
it can be difficult. But I'm also of the opinion that it's important to face the worst aspects of things that happen, right? And again, that you might not want that all the time. There's a place for nonsense reads. There's a place for fun. There's a place for happy endings. There's a place, all of it, right? So
100%.
I just like being able to say, in my novels push it. My short stories have been more PG-13ish because they've been for either anthologies or Writers of the Future, where grim dark and too dark isn't going to necessarily make it anywhere. But for my novels, I do, yeah, I lean towards the darker thing.
You dive in there. But I agree, there's a place for all of it. I like my bubblegum fantasy too, but I also like grim dark, right? Like I like to balance it. It's also why I don't read one book at a time because it depends on what mood I'm in.
I'm
Yeah.
actually the same way because I like
Mm-hmm.
to switch it back and forth. I do read like either 2 or 3 books at once and alternate because yeah, you might feel like something else that day. Totally.
Yep. I totally agree. So, how long did it take you to write your first book?
Ah, I think it was about 2 years because as I was telling you earlier, I am slow as hell. Um, uh, I'm
Well,
trying.
there's things like day jobs and, responsibilities and family, no, I get that. I totally get that.
I think I am getting faster. It's not super
Mhm,
fast, but
mhm,
this is I'm writing my third right now,
mhm,
and I am getting a little bit faster, and I'm changing. My process is evolving as well as I'm
mhm,
learning. Right, I'm some of that helps speed the process. At the beginning, I did very little outlining. Now I'm doing a bit more outlining. I can't do too much
mhm,
outlining in advance. It's just the way I am, but
mhm,
I will do mini outlines. Like for once I get to a scene, I might outline
mhm.
that scene so I know what I want to happen, and that helps me write it faster. So like
100%.
yeah, so I'm just changing it, my process,
Mhm.
and it's evolving, and I'm hopefully getting a little bit faster. But yeah, my first novel was about 2 years. On the current one, it's been just over a year right now. So, and I'm maybe 2/3 done ish. So
Getting there. So close. So close. Half in the time, man. That's the way to go. No, I get it. Look, it took me 5 years for my first one, so nobody has taken that long that I've interviewed. So you're doing great.
that
I just get mad when people are like, oh, it took me like 3 months for my first novel. I'm like, it did what for your first? Come on, come on.
Yeah, when people are like, "Yeah, I put out a book a month," I'm like, "I don't even know how that's possible. Like, is that even a thing?"
Don't. And I used to think, okay, whatever, you're just writing garbage. And then I read some, I'm like, these are garbage. I don't know what to do now. Because I do know people who can write that fast and they're not garbage. Mind you, there are some that are garbage, but even sometimes they will take years to write it, right? That has nothing to do with time. So yeah, I'm sad. I'm very sad and a little bit jealous that I can't
And the
write
way
that
I look
fast.
at it is, look, as long as for your 5 years for your book, that's still a hell of a lot faster than like George R. R. Martin. So
That's true. That's true. I win. Except he has more money than I'll ever see, but whatever. Okay. Which book was the hardest to write?
I think I'm going to go with my first one as well,
Hmm.
because I did so little outlining. Like kind of if I wanted to drive from like New York to L.A. and I was like, okay, I'm going to stop in St. Louis and I'll stop in Denver, and that was it. Like that was the extent of the outlining. So,
I know I need
but
to kind of head west.
so I had written 400 pages,
Mhm.
and um I was I was like, it didn't work. Like there was one major aspect of the plot that I needed to change to make it really make more sense. So
Mhm.
I had to go back and rewrite like huge sections that took a really long time. And plus, with that first novel, I was getting a lot of different feedback from like workshops or readers and things. And some people wanted a lot of, like, you need more detail, you need to describe this more, right? So I went in and I added a whole lot of detail. And then when I'm working with the editor is like, dude, this is a slog to get through. This is too much detail. You got to cut this shit. So I ended up
And you're like,
I know. I was like, I specifically went through and added all of that. So we ended up cutting out a lot of it, and the final product, I did get a lot better feedback about, like, it was the right amount of detail finally. But yeah, it's
Mhm.
just these things that were like a trial and error learning experience, made it the most difficult, and probably contribute to why it took so long as well.
Editors, people you pay to make your life harder. That's what we are. Sorry, it's true. But your work will be better in the end, I promise.
No, I think it was. I mean, for all the headaches and disagreements, it definitely was a better product. So
Well, if anything, that's a true trial that tells you you are supposed to be writing. Because how many people at that point are like, no, and they're out.
oh,
Where
yeah.
you're like, okay, all right, I'm gonna, sit down for a minute and hate my life, but then I'm gonna drive back into it and we're gonna make this happen. So that's pretty impressive right there.
Yeah, it was kind of like a little bit off topic but related. Where my
Hmm.
first physics class, the professor had no problem failing half the class. So that was if I eventually, one of my majors was physics, but if I didn't love it so much, like that
Hmm.
type of professor would have like driven
That
you
would have
out
been
of
it.
it. Like you
Hmm.
like you had to really like it to stay in that class and
Hmm.
and succeed. So same type of thing, right? Like going through that trial, tells
That's how
you
you
what you
know.
really want to do. Yeah,
It's also just teaching me how stubborn you are. I like it. There you go.
that my parents will
Yeah.
agree with that.
It's like it's true. It's true. Um, so what comes to you first when you're thinking of a new story? Like the world or like a specific character?
So I have my world pretty well established. Like I have
Hmm.
a whole lot of background information, like on the world itself, my universe, where
Hmm.
where I want. So right now the world is there, just waiting for me to put stories into it. So I'll give you an example. Like with my first novel, The Moray Hunters, it's a vampire themed story. I went through my list of like 200 some planets, and I was like, oh, here's one that I have that is ruled by vampires. So that is now the setting for this novel.
Oh, that's
Um,
cool.
right. So I have a lot of stuff there and like
Hmm.
in place that I can just so yeah. So the right now it's the story ideas I that I got to think about, and where I want. I have the idea of the overall arc of
Hmm.
where I want the novels and everything to go to. Like I have different
Hmm.
series that'll connect and diverge and things. Um, so yeah, the world is there. Let's just say it's in the background.
Just making it happen. You just got to get to St. Louis, Denver. You'll get there. You'll get there. Um, Now, of all of your characters, which one do you relate to the most?
Relate to. I write
Hmm.
shitty characters. I don't want to say I relate to any of them.
Uh-oh, no, that's it. No, no, you have to answer the questions. It's the rule. It's that contract you signed. Oh, okay, there's no contract. Hey, you have short stories too. You could probably cheat. I mean, come on.
Oh, that's true. Well, I guess I should I put, okay. Let's well, yeah. I don't. That's the thing is I don't necessarily write characters who are like me. Like they might have a like an aspect here or there that I take, right? But I don't know if any of them are like me that I would necessarily relate to. I would maybe I would say in my novel that's currently up for editing called Zai Descent. The main character is uh, a youth who grows up to be a pretty bad guy, but as a teenager at some point, I can relate to maybe some of the things that he had to experience and go through growing up, even though his context is definitely different. It's
Different.
a yes, it's a much more oppressive society that he lived in. But I think certain aspects of maturation might be universal or fairly common. So I think maybe some of that specifically to answer the question of relating to, I would say that aspect of a teenage boy at some point growing up.
Works for you. Is his arch nemesis the physics teacher? Because that would totally make sense to me. I'm starting to see relations here. I get it. Someday, now you know what to add. See, that needs to be in there somewhere. Doesn't have to be a physics teacher. It could be anyone, right? I mean, let's face it. It's boot camp for all of us, right? Yeah.
His mentor was a black necromancer who was not a nice guy either and did pretty horrible things. So
And did he stick with necromancy anyways?
he did stick with it anyways.
See?
Even after his mentor stabs him in the side, he sticks with it.
He's like, that's it. This is the right thing to do. I feel like we're stretching, but that's okay. We're proving the stubborn part, though. It totally works. Which character gave you the hardest time about obeying their role in the plot? Like, which one was like, this is what you're supposed to do, and they're like, nah, I'm going to do this instead.
That's an interesting question. I mean, some part of me wants to say I'm the boss, and
I know. I like to say that too.
Right?
Ultimately, that's true. But when you're writing the character, it's just not working. You realize you're going against who you built, right? Like you did create them, but so who made you see? No, this is what I'm doing.
I think. Okay, so again, I think I'll have to go with the character Shyala from The Moray Hunters, my first novel, where I originally wanted to, I guess, make her have less redeeming qualities. And I think probably a lot of people will still say she has very few, but I wanted to make them subtle, right? So I think at one going through that process and once going with that character, I decided like no, the story was improved by giving her subtle redeeming qualities as opposed to just Darth Vadering her until the end, I guess.
That makes sense. You're like, no, you will fit in this box, and she's like, I don't fit in this box.
Yeah, I think probably that's the closest one. I mean, like I said, it's still subtle, so people still, I have had people, comment that they've missed it, I guess, but once you point it out, they're like, oh yeah, but
like I see that. Sometimes the bad guy has to like the cat, right? You have that one thing, that they're okay with. Something to make them seem dimensional, not just. I twirling my mustache. It's the best I can do. See, I don't have one. I can't. Let's see. Of all the worlds, which is literally worlds in your case, which is fascinating, which one would you like to spend a week in?
Ooh. Let's see. So I mean, I have, like I said, of the published ones, I've only have two, right? So, or one published, one being edited. So of the ones I've written, there's only two. Both of them are really shitty for humanity.
I love asking this question of grimdark writers. They're like, "Ooh, no."
That's the whole point. Is like humanity is oppressed in both of them, like big time. One of them is ruled by vampires. The other one is humanity. Like there's like six races total. Humanity's the youngest, and they're essentially ghettoized and suppressed. I mean, it's just not slaves anymore, but just above.
Yeah.
So neither of those. I mean, I'm sure I have among all the other worlds that I've have in my box. There might be one or two that might not be as bad. Um, I'll answer the question in a general sense, and that's
Okay.
Star Trek. I would of all the science fiction I've ever read, I think Star Trek is the only, unless I could have the Force in Star Wars, I think. But other than that, Star Trek might be the only actual, the only universe that that I've read that I'd actually say, okay, I wouldn't mind living in that universe. Because I like a lot of I'm not even going to say Star Trek is necessarily my favorite, but it is the most hopeful, and
Hands
right,
down.
yeah. So that is if I chose to live somewhere, that would be it, right?
Yeah.
So
I think that's why it's my favorite, because it is hopeful. I'm like, gosh, doggone it, if we're all going to ruin everything and kill each other, then why do we keep going? So I need Star Trek. I need it.
yeah, like we said, everything has its place, right? Like that hopefulness is a nice change of pace sometimes.
I don't want to go to the grocery store and just hate people because they're there, so I kind of need some hope in my life. Thank you. I need it. Well, so speaking of other worlds, other people's universes, if you could write in anyone else's universe, which one would you choose?
I had never considered that really before, because I'm just so caught up in writing my own stuff. Um, I would probably say some of the worlds that I like most are either, I would say probably Dune, just because Dune is one of my favorite series of all time. So I would say Dune, or maybe Star Wars, I think, because I grew up with Star Wars, and I'm still a huge fan. So I would probably say one of those two, I guess. It's not like I'm going to turn down if they say, go ahead and write in Forgotten Realms or something.
Right.
But
you're like, no, you're not Star Wars. I'm not interested.
But I just the fact that I've loved Dune so much, the series and Star Wars as well, that I think it would be fun to write in those universes.
Yeah. No, valid answer. You don't have to excuse it. Your answers are valid. You know that, right? Is there anywhere you visited in real life that inspired a place in your novel?
I'll have to think about that one too.
Like, where was the last place you were hanging out with vampires?
Dragon Con?
Dragon Con.
Probably
Dragon Con.
Probably Dragon Con. Yeah. No, so again, because my stories are so dark, it's not places you normally visit, I guess, but I do take a lot of inspiration from history, because even though, like, in my worlds, like, vampires are treating humans shitty, or it's dwarves and elves being shitty to humans, there's nothing that humanity hasn't done to itself already. So I take a lot of I don't know about a place, but I do take inspiration from like humanity's own actions for what I include in the stories.
You're like, we'll just call this karma. We'll call this. You asked for it, humans. I have often said the only thing that would truly unite us as a world is if we had something from another world come and attack us, because now we're humans against them. It's almost like we have to have something to fight against.
I've thought about that too, and I've kind of I'm not even sure anymore if that would be the case. I'm sure it might happen for a lot of people, but I think there'd be a significant percentage who would still not. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe one day we'll be attacked by aliens, and we'll find out. We'll find out. It'll be
we'll reapproach this question at that point. I'll be like, hey, Arash, guess what? Look up.
We'll have a special session just to revisit this.
We'll see. I mean, that's what Twitch is for, right? I'm sure there'll be a lot of people on Twitch when that happens. No doubt. What upcoming project are you super excited about?
I will have to say just finishing my current novel, because the closer I get to the end, then I get even more excited, and I tend to write faster, right?
Yes, same.
Yeah. So now that I'm like 2/3 done, and like the end, I can see where the ending is kind of coming up. So now I'm just like, I get that energy to push through and do more. So yeah, I think probably just finishing another novel. It's a really good feeling. Like, I mean, yeah, you still got to go through the editing and that whole thing, but it to actually have something done that's hundred some thousand words,
Mhm.
it's a good feeling. So
Yeah.
yeah, I just finishing my next novel.
So you think for you, drafting is the hardest part of writing the novel?
Draft it, like outlining
No,
or
no,
planning.
drafting or like writing it or revising it. Like which one?
Oh, um, I think the revisions now I think aren't as bad because I'm spending so much time up front. So I'll even tell you like real quick my process. So I actually write my first drafts by hand.
Oh,
Um,
interesting. You're one
yeah,
of those.
yeah, because I actually, I like the tactile sensation of, pencil on paper. So I write my first drafts by hand, and then I get an
Mhm.
instant second draft because when I
By
type it up, I
typing.
do a lot of editing. So I have like my second draft, and then I have a really great writing group. So I will read through it one more time before I give them sections. So that's my third
Mhm.
draft. And by
Mhm.
the time they give me comments, like, I'm on my fourth draft essentially, or fourth edits or whatever. So
Mhm.
to me, that's done except for professional editing.
Right.
Um,
Mhm.
so yeah, I think um, the initial writing just takes me a long time, but the editing has not been as bad so far. Like, I guess there's some stuff that you might bristle at or you don't want to change or this or that, and you gotta
Yeah.
and I do ruminate on some of the suggestions, right? Like I try to take them seriously, but it as a length of time, it does not take nearly as long as the initial writing or anything like
As
that.
initial writing. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep. I just find it's easier once those symbols are on the page to fix it than it is to have a blank page.
agreed.
It's a
Yeah.
lot harder. It's a lot harder, at least in my opinion. I love that though. You can tell when you're talking to the professional writers because I'm like, what are you excited about? You're like, getting the next book done? I don't. I mean, that's it. That's what we do. It's, yeah.
It's a great feeling, like
Uh-huh.
to have put down like, hundred some thousand words and be done. Like that's a lot because the grimdark books tend to run long,
Mhm.
or just fantasy and sci-fi in general. A lot of them run long. So 100,000 words is is a lot.
Not a
So
sneeze. Yep. It's not a sneeze. Uh, let's see, we've met at Superstars and then I saw you at Dragon Con.
mhm.
And so obviously you do believe in like going to like these writer conventions. And yes, Dragon Con counts. If you don't believe me, go. There's so many writers there. It's incredible. And so you like going to these writer conventions. What do you get out of them?
So yeah, I mean nowadays like because I've been to so many workshops and
Mhm.
different things where a lot of the actual information isn't necessary, like it's you get diminishing returns on the actual information,
Mhm.
right? Like how to craft dialogue or how to do these things, right? Like a lot of that stuff is the same sort of advice you'll hear.
Right.
The thing I liked about Superstars was how it was business centric. That was
Mhm.
different from a lot of them.
Yep.
Um, you know, but yeah, but now now I think once you start getting those diminishing returns, the networking is invaluable.
Mhm.
Um, going to these, I'm meeting you and so many other people. I met my editors and other really good friends. One of my great friends I met at the writers workshop at Dragon Con of Jody Lanai's workshop there. So
Mhm.
yeah,
That's where I started.
it's
I did that workshop too.
yeah, I mean,
Mhm.
it's a great networking. These are great networking opportunities, and I
Mhm.
suck at networking, right? I admit it, but even with how sucky I am at it, right? Like you just fall into meeting people,
Right.
right? So
Or you get obnoxious people like me that demand your cards and then make you do interviews. I mean, that happens. You run into people like me.
I was like, I don't know, well, you don't know what you're getting into. I don't know why you asked me to be on this. So
This is why, because we're having so much fun. That's the point. That's the point.
yeah,
That's what now the viewers have heard me say this over and over again. But whenever they ask you, why did you become a writer? One of my answers is always because I get to hang out with other writers. That's part of the fun. So this is fun.
yeah, no, this is a great time.
It's awesome. All right. So we have made it through the easy questions. And now we are moving on to the lightning round.
Do I get open book?
Nope. You get open brain and open brain only. All right.
No.
All right, you ready? What is your favorite flavor of ice cream?
You want the long answer or the short answer?
It's up to you. We got time.
I'll give the long answer because I'm obnoxious. The,
That's my role.
so growing up, there was a drugstore chain in Southern California where I was called Thrifty, and they had chocolate malted crunch, and that was my favorite for a while. I went through a Jamocha phase after that. Right now I would say anything with, let me see, brownies, Oreos, cookie dough, and fudge. So you just mix those up into whatever ice cream, and I'm good.
Good choice. Are you in the South anywhere?
Arizona.
I don't think you get Bluebell in Arizona. I can't remember. Do you get Bluebell ice cream? Do you remember?
I'm not sure.
I don't think so either. They have a 2-step cookie one that my husband is addicted to. So with what you just described, I thought you would really like that. But I don't know if you get it in Arizona.
I could look into it next time I'm at the grocery shop. Yeah. So
I'm sure Zayf will look it up and let us know if you can get it there, but it's well worth it. Can zombies climb?
They can scramble, I think. Right? Like they might be able to go on hands and knees and but
just make it happen.
Yeah, I'm not, like if just a whole wall of zombies crashed against a wall, the zombies in the back might be able to like scramble up.
Get up over them somehow.
Yeah, I'm not sure. It's funny. I'm not sure if I've ever seen zombies climbing in a movie.
Well, Jonathan Mayberry said they did in the original movies. So said yes. He gave us a very long answer, and it was hilarious. One of the best we've ever had.
then I second his answer.
If anybody's gonna know, it's gonna be him, right? Yes, Bluebell is available in almost all of Arizona, but not the northeast corner.
Okay, that is not where I'm at. Okay, I don't think I count as northeast, so.
I don't know. That's what it said on the website, apparently. So you should be good to go. You should go try it. It's called the Texas 2-Step, right? Cookie 2-Step. I don't know. He'll tell me what it is. It's something 2-Step, but it's got all those yummy cookies in it. Cookie 2-Step.
Cookie
2-Step.
Cookie 2-Step. Just made myself a note.
Yep, there you go. So you'll have to get back to us and let us know. Polos or button-ups?
Neither. I wear t-shirts. I wear t-shirts.
Huh? That's it. I refuse.
I don't. No. If I had to choose between those two, polo. Mm-hmm. But polo. I can't stand collars. I fucking hate them. Right. It has to be a t-shirt with a pocket right here. That's anybody who knows me knows that's the way it is.
That's your uniform.
That is my uniform.
I love it. Steak on the grill or cast iron?
I tell you the truth, as much as I like steak, I don't know if it makes what kind of difference it makes because I don't prepare food. I just eat it.
Oh, you are missing out, man. It's time to experiment.
So I'm just going to flip a coin and say grill.
I will tell you, most people have said grill, and I'm like, y'all are wrong. But anyways, what is your favorite fast food restaurant?
Oh. Probably either Five Guys or Wendy's, I think.
Fair. It depends on whether you got paid or not. Because we always love Five Guys, and then we went to Five Guys last and paid for just my son to eat, and it was like $30. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not sure I like it that much.
I look at the calories now, so like like, oh, how much of a workout is it for that?
How many hours do I just spend on the treadmill? I don't know if I want all these French fries.
Right. So I used to go a lot more often, so I do not now. It's more of a treat when I go. But I do like Five Guys. I like Wendy's. I like McDonald's fries a lot.
Yes, I agree. They have the best fries.
And I actually like their fish sandwiches. I think I do like their fish sandwiches better than anywhere else's. But yeah.
I don't know. I like Wendy's fish when they do during Lent, and they have those fish sandwiches.
Oh,
they're
really?
So good. It's like actual cod. Like there's fish in their fish sandwiches. It's some kind of miracle.
That sounds unusual.
That's the best thing for Lent every year. That's what we go. I don't even celebrate Lent, but I'm glad people do so I can get the Wendy's fish sandwich.
Well,
I appreciate it.
I'll keep that in mind for next Lent.
It's so good. Friday wants to know, what is your favorite cookie?
Oh, chocolate chip. I know it's base. It's
fair answer. It's basic for a reason, right? Because it's delicious. No, I'm with you. I'm with you. Coffee or tea?
So I actually like tea more than coffee, but I drink coffee more. So
that's so true. Why is that? I think it's just easier with our coffee makers. We don't have as many like tea makers.
So Earl Grey is my favorite coffee. I'm sorry, favorite tea. But yeah, I drink coffee. I just drink coffee more. Usually lattes because I actually don't like the taste of coffee. I don't want to taste the coffee. So I have to have it mixed with something. So yeah.
See, like mine's, man. I feel you. And finally, where can fans find you and your work?
Probably the best place is my website, lmpbooks.com. It has links to the major sites to like Amazon, Kobo, Barnes and Noble, all of those things. It has free reads for my short stories, little bit of like my universe as it's being revealed in my novels. Then I'll put some of that information, on there. So yeah, my website is the best place as a hub for everything that's me.
They can find you from there. And we do a giveaway for our live participants. So we want to make sure to do that, to tell them thank you for coming. And all of our poor YouTube watchers and our podcast listeners, they don't get any of that. But you have something special for them today. So what can they get today? This is only good for the first 50 people to click the link.
Yeah, so I've made a coupon code through my distributor, Smashwords. So it actually said for the first 50 people can download my first novel, The Moray Hunters, for free with that code through Smashwords. So I think you said you're going to post it, right?
Yeah, Zafa's supposed to be posting up that link so everyone can see it in the chat. But I will also make sure to put it in the show notes for everyone watching later, that you will see it in the show notes. But please make sure to download that first novel. Second one's already out. And as you've heard today, third one's just about done. So you'll be able to get nice, satisfying story arc there. There we go. So Smashwords there, and the code is up. So first 50 people, you want your copy, get it now. And now that Arash is your new favorite author, please make sure to review his work wherever it is you get your stories. And you can review us on wherever you get your podcast. Also, you can follow us on Twitch or subscribe on YouTube at youtube.com/@CursedDragonship. We have a full name now. It's so cool. All right. So we'll see y'all next week. And it is the release of The Healer, book 2 in my Emergence series. So I'm excited for y'all to get a hand on that one. It's very exciting. I just love it. All right. So we'll see y'all next week. Thank you.
Bye.